Hello everyone! Welcome back to our channel, where we dive into fascinating historical eras. Today, we're going on a captivating journey back in time to explore life in the Middle Ages. During this video, we'll uncover the daily existence, social structure, and unique customs that shaped the lives of people in this pivotal era of history. So, let's get started. To truly understand life in the Middle Ages, it's essential to grasp the historical context. The Middle Ages spanned roughly from the 5th to the 15th century and witnessed significant changes in Europe. One of the most prominent events was the fall of the Roman Empire, which led to the decline of centralized authority and the rise of feudalism. The fall of the Roman Empire in 476 AD marked the end of a period characterized by strong centralized government, infrastructure, and cultural exchange. With the decline of Roman influence, Europe entered a phase of political, social, and economic instability known as the Middle Ages, or the medieval period. During this transitional phase, Europe was highly fragmented, with various tribes, kingdoms, and empires vying for power and influence. The collapse of the Roman Empire left a power vacuum, and as a result, localized systems of governance emerged to fill the void. This led to the rise of feudalism, a hierarchical system based on land ownership and reciprocal duties. Feudalism became the dominant social and economic structure throughout the Middle Ages. At its core was the relationship between a lord, who owned and controlled land, and a vassal, who held land granted by the lord in exchange for loyalty, military service, and other obligations. This system created a complex network of loyalties and dependencies, with the king at the top, followed by various levels of vassals, each owing allegiance to their superior. Land or fiefdoms played a fundamental role in the feudal society of the Middle Ages. It was considered the primary source of wealth and power. Lords controlled vast territories and granted smaller parcels of land to their vassals. These vassals, in turn, supported and served their lords in times of conflict, forming the basis of the feudal military system. This feudal structure not only shaped political and military affairs but also had far-reaching implications for everyday life. The lord's land, known as the manor, was the center of economic and social life. A manor generally comprised the lord's residence, peasants' homes, agricultural land, pastures, and forests. Peasants, also known as serfs or villeins, worked the land, with their labor and produce going to support the lord and the manor. Social mobility during the Middle Ages was limited. Individuals were largely born into their social classes and had few opportunities to change their station in life. The majority of the population comprised peasants who worked the land, while the elite consisted of lords, knights, and clergy. The Catholic Church played a significant role in medieval society. It provided a sense of stability and spiritual guidance in a time of uncertainty. With the decline of centralized political authority, the Church became an influential force, often interweaving religious and secular power. Monasteries were centers of learning and education, preserving knowledge from the ancient world and contributing to the cultural and intellectual development of the Middle Ages. As Europe gradually emerged from the chaotic aftermath of the fall of the Roman Empire, it witnessed the beginnings of a slow recovery in areas such as agriculture, trade, and art. The stability and structure offered by feudalism provided a foundation for rebuilding society and laying the groundwork for future advancements. So, as we embark on this journey to explore life in the Middle Ages, we will uncover the realities of day-to-day existence, the social structure, and the unique customs that shaped the lives of people during this transformative period in history. Stay tuned for our next segment, where we will delve into the intricacies of daily life in the Middle Ages and the three main estates that defined medieval society. Now let's dive deeper into the daily life of people during the Middle Ages. Society was divided into three main estates: the clergy, the nobility, and the peasantry. The clergy, consisting of priests, monks, and nuns, played a significant role in the spiritual life of the Middle Ages. Monasteries served as centers of learning and provided education, healthcare, and refuge. During the Middle Ages, the clergy held a prominent position in society. They were responsible for the spiritual well-being of the people and the administration of religious affairs. Monastic life was particularly influential in this regard. Monasteries and convents were scattered throughout Europe, offering a sanctuary for those seeking a life of prayer and seclusion. Monks and nuns lived in these religious communities, dedicating their lives to prayer, meditation, and manual labor. They followed strict rules and schedules structured around the divine office, a series of prayers observed at regular intervals throughout the day. Monks engaged in activities like copying and illuminating manuscripts, cultivating gardens, brewing beer, and providing hospitality to travelers. Monasteries also played a vital role in education. Since literacy was primarily limited to the clergy, monks were often the keepers and transcribers of knowledge, preserving ancient texts and producing new ones. They meticulously copied manuscripts by hand, ensuring the transmission of classical works and religious texts. The scriptoria, where manuscripts were created, became hubs of learning and intellectual exchange. Moving on to the nobility, they occupied the upper echelons of society during the Middle Ages. Nobles were typically landholders, holding titles such as dukes, earls, and barons. The hallmark of nobility was the knight, an esteemed warrior who pledged his allegiance to a lord and followed a strict code of chivalry. Knighthood was not only about martial prowess but also embraced ideals of honor, loyalty, and service. Knights were trained from a young age in the arts of combat, horsemanship, and courtly manners. They played a central role in feudal warfare, defending their lord's land and engaging in tournaments, and just as both entertainment and a way to display their martial skills. Lastly, the largest estate was the peasantry, comprising farmers, artisans, and merchants. Peasants formed the foundation of the medieval economy, providing the food, goods, and services necessary for survival. They lived in villages and worked the land owned by the nobility or the church under the system of serfdom. Peasants faced a challenging life, with hard labor and limited social mobility. Their primary occupation was farming, tilling the soil, planting and harvesting crops, and tending to livestock. Life revolved around the agricultural cycle, with seasons dictating their workloads. Peasants also engaged in other crafts and trades, such as blacksmithing, carpentry, weaving, and brewing. Medieval towns and cities were centers of commerce and trade. Merchants, both local and from distant lands, converged in bustling marketplaces to exchange goods and services. Guilds, associations of skilled craftsmen in a particular trade, played a crucial role in urban life. They regulated their respective professions, maintained quality standards, and provided support to their members. In terms of social hierarchy, the nobility and the clergy held the highest positions, enjoying wealth, privilege, and influence. Peasants, on the other hand, lived simpler lives, subject to the obligations of their lords and with limited personal freedoms. Nonetheless, it is important to note that medieval society was not static, and there were instances where individuals from lower classes could rise in status through exceptional achievements or royal patronage. As the medieval cities grew and trade flourished, new ideas and artistic styles emerged. Let's start by delving into the realm of medieval art. The art of the Middle Ages was deeply intertwined with religion and spirituality. Religious themes dominated the subject matter, and most artistic works were commissioned by the church or wealthy patrons. Manuscript illumination, stained glass windows, tapestries, and sculpture adorned cathedrals, churches, and monasteries across Europe. One of the most remarkable forms of medieval art was illuminated manuscripts. Skilled scribes meticulously hand-copied sacred texts and embellished them with intricate illustrations and decorative motifs. These manuscripts were not only objects of beauty but also repositories of knowledge, preserving ancient wisdom and classical texts. Another remarkable achievement of the Middle Ages was the development of Gothic architecture. With its soaring cathedrals, pointed arches, and expansive stained glass windows, Gothic architecture aimed to create awe and inspire a sense of divinity. These magnificent structures were not only places of worship but also symbols of faith, engineering marvels that stood as testaments to human ingenuity. Now that we've explored the artistic side of the Middle Ages, let's shift our focus to intellectual pursuits. Despite popular misconceptions, the Middle Ages were not a period of intellectual stagnation but rather one of vibrant scholarship and discovery. Monasteries and cathedral schools were centers of learning, housing extensive libraries and attracting scholars from far and wide. They diligently preserved and copied ancient texts, fostering a culture of intellectual curiosity. By the 12th century, universities began to flourish in Europe, becoming important hubs of intellectual exchange. Prominent universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, and the University of Paris emerged, where scholars engaged in lively debates and expanded the boundaries of knowledge. Scientific advancements were also made during this time. Alchemy, the precursor to modern chemistry, was practiced, and scholars like Roger Bacon made significant contributions to the study of optics and experimental science. The Middle Ages laid the foundation for the scientific revolutions that would follow. Philosophy also thrived during the Middle Ages, with prominent figures like St. Thomas Aquinas combining Christian theology with the philosophy of Aristotle. Their works explored questions of existence, morality, and the nature of God, shaping the intellectual landscape of the time. Life in the Middle Ages revolved around small, self-sustaining communities like villages. Let's take a closer look at the different aspects of daily existence in these medieval settlements. Agriculture was the backbone of medieval society. The vast majority of people lived in rural areas and relied on farming for their livelihoods. From plowing fields to tending livestock, the people of the Middle Ages labored tirelessly to ensure a stable food supply. They cultivated crops such as wheat, barley, oats, and vegetables, which formed the basis of their diets. In towns and cities, bustling marketplaces played a vital role in the medieval economy. Traders and merchants from near and far gathered to exchange goods and ideas. These vibrant hubs of commerce facilitated the flow of goods, from essential supplies to luxury items. Guilds, organized groups of craftsmen and merchants, regulated trade and set standards of quality. Craftsmanship and artisanal skills were highly valued during the Middle Ages. Skilled workers such as blacksmiths, carpenters, weavers, and potters honed their crafts, passing down their knowledge from generation to generation. The quality and intricacy of their creations, from armor and weaponry to tapestries and pottery, were admired far and wide. The Middle Ages also had a vibrant tradition of festivals and celebrations. These events brought communities together, providing a respite from daily toil and a chance to revel in music, dance, and merriment. Festivals like May Day, harvest festivals, and religious celebrations were eagerly anticipated and served as opportunities for social bonding. Now, let's explore the legacy of the Middle Ages and its impact on the world we live in today. The Middle Ages witnessed the emergence of numerous inventions and innovations that continue to shape our lives. Technologies such as windmills, the mechanical clock, and the printing press were developed during this time, revolutionizing various aspects of society. The spread of Johannes Gutenberg's printing press, for instance, democratized access to knowledge and paved the way for the Renaissance and the Reformation. The architectural influence of the Middle Ages can be seen in many of the structures that still stand today. From the towering cathedrals and castles to the charming half-timbered houses, the architectural styles of the Middle Ages continue to inspire and captivate us. The Middle Ages also played a significant role in shaping modern legal systems and governance structures. Concepts such as the Magna Carta, which established the principles of limited government and individual rights, laid the foundation for democratic ideals that are fundamental in many societies today. Finally, the literature of the Middle Ages left an indelible mark on the world of storytelling. Epic poems like the Song of Roland and literary works such as Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales continue to be celebrated for their timeless themes and engaging narratives. And that's a wrap! Our journey into life in the Middle Ages has given us a glimpse into the complex yet fascinating world that our ancestors lived in. From the feudal system to the three estates, from vibrant festivals to architectural wonders, the Middle Ages continue to captivate and intrigue us. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more exciting historical content. Until next time, take care and keep exploring history.